Will be held at the lights. Lights red. Lights green. No intention.
Yep, it's gone right here. Just get some footage of that church. Bravo 3 towards me. Bravo 3 with a left intention, heading on a reciprocal route, back towards yourself.
Got a right at a mini roundabout, just coming straight down. Yeah, just past me now, looks like he's pulling up to flat up there. Yeah, I'll push down a bit more, there's a side road just in front of him. You might be able to get something there.
Yeah, go take that position then.
Right up. It's not a side road, it's a driveway. He's parked up, what looks like a path leading into some sort of park or something.
Yeah, Roger, is he in the vehicle, do you know?
Yeah, he was still in it when I went past.
Anyway, at all you can get eyes on to see if he gets out.
Only if I go for a walk.
Somewhere where we can go for a walk, on the walk.
Yeah, there's some sort of pathway with, you know, like the green council fences. That looks like it could be a park right in front of where he is.
Roger, I'll walk on road now.
Yeah, Roger, I'm further up, about halfway between him and the end of the road. There is end.
You've got eyes on?
Negative, I'd have to come round that bend, and I can't really park anywhere without him seeing me.
Just pass Bravo 1's location and down one of them streets.
Those things that look like streets are actually driveways on literally where the road bends from your direction, where it bends to the left. I'm just there.
The police and other government agencies are all now using digital modes such as Tetra Airwave for their radio communications, but you can still hear radio surveillance on the air, and in this video I'll show you where to look. But first, let's look a bit into the backstory here. During the 1980s and 1990s, more and more organisations were training their staff in surveillance techniques, and they often used analogue radio. The police and other authorities were particularly fond of Raycal Cougar sets for surveillance, and the radios used on the actual jobs should have always been used in encrypted mode. But from time to time, you could hear this training in the clear when the correct radio equipment wasn't available. The agencies that were sending their staff on proper surveillance courses included Customs and Excise, the military, police, government agencies, and even British Telecom. The DSS and other similar agencies also watched people, but they usually didn't have the manpower or the infrastructure to carry out full-on surveillance, but it often happened and involved multiple agents on the ground both on foot and in cars, and still takes place today. Even shopping centre security staff will sometimes be running people in plain clothes to watch for shoplifters, especially approaching Christmas, so there's still plenty to be heard. The old crime squad frequencies within 155 MHz were used for training for many years, but also any police simplex frequencies could be used and were occasionally utilised for the real thing if a surveillance operation had to be carried out at short notice. Before we look into the frequencies often used, it may help to understand some of the terms and practices used in radio surveillance. This is by no means a complete list, as it's pointless listing terms that are almost self-explanatory. Surveillance comms happen quickly and in real time, and it can be hard to keep up, especially if there's numerous agents. The surveillance operator won't use terms like right, left or stop unless the target is turning left, right or is stopping. Imagine if the signal is scratchy and someone says I'm right up behind him at the bus stop. The convoy would be all over the place in no time, so terms like near side, offside and bus request or bus pickup point have to be used instead. Static observation points often use call signs such as 0P1 or 0P2 and so on. So these are the common frequencies for hearing radio surveillance, and if you program them into your scanner, you do hear things from time to time. Of course, some of these frequencies are shared with other users, so listening can get confusing, but they're well worth monitoring. Clearly, with most surveillance using some sort of digital mode, let alone scrambling or encryption, the opportunities for eavesdropping are limited, but not all scrambling is immune depending on what radios are being used. In the very recent past, I've heard what may be the DSS, but I can't be certain, and a number of private investigators following anything from illicit lovers to people owing money to somebody else. I saw a post online a couple of years ago from somebody who was able to decode the communications of the heavies employed by a well-known London department store owner. He used an Alinco DJX2000, and just by upping the level of audio inversion decode, he was able to hear what they were saying loud and clear. The men were on 169.3625 FM and were also using 127.3 AM from their Range Rover to talk to the boss's helicopter. While we're on the topic of radio surveillance, I thought I'd cover some analogue radio trackers. Now, I must say I've not heard these for many years, but a wideband rumbling sound that could sometimes be found down in low-band VHF was often a tracking device hidden underneath a vehicle by a surveillance agency. The sound that the unit made indicated to the surveillance team whether the vehicle was stationary or moving, and some other information could also be ascertained. These units were tracked by a direction finding set fitted in another vehicle which had disguised antennas fitted. The direction of the target vehicle could then be obtained, and the technical car could tell other units whether the vehicle was moving or not. The modern day tracking systems are unfortunately not going to be found by the average scanner hobbyist though. So that's a small piece on radio surveillance. As I said, the frequencies I've shown you are mostly shared with other users, and nowadays most users opt for digital systems, but you can still hear analogue radio surveillance going on from time to time. All you need is a lot of patience.